Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Today we're jumping into some nuclear revenge. Our first story today comes to us from a deleted account. Crappy customer gets vandalized. Let's jump right in. I work at a restaurant where the employees are overworked and underpaid. Despite this, everyone is cool with each other and management. The evils that mess up our day are the customers and our by-the-book district manager who drops by every now and then. For about 3 months, we had someone in the men's bathroom come in and smear an ungodly amount of fecal matter all over the handicap stall of the men's bathroom. Even sometimes they'll fling scat outside of the stall onto another toilet or a wall. Of course, management sends one of us peons to clean it up. Fortunately for me, I never had to as I worked the cash register. The one coworker who we'll call Arthur was who I'd call the personification of pettiness. He was crazy and had a smart mouth and an explosive temper when pushed too far. Me and Arthur were cool. I never had problems with him, but management always had him clean out the bathroom when it was poo smeared. One day, Arthur came in on his day off to get some food. After placing his order, he went to use the restroom. While there, he heard someone moan and groan, having a massive crap storm in the handicap stall. He didn't think much of it even when he smelled that god-awful scent. An older gentleman around 50 exited the stall. Arthur came out and noticed the smell was even stronger than before. Curious, he peeked into the stall and noticed the poop smears all over the place. Infuriated, he asked the old man if he had done that and why would he even? The old guy said with a crap-eating grin, "Look, I don't care. I just want to ruin some poor effer's day." Arthur was set the F off, as he was that poor effer. Initially, Arthur wanted to clock the guy right then and there, but in his own words, time slowed down around him and all he saw was red. Arthur didn't say anything to the man, instead washed his hands and sat back down waiting for his food. He sat on the opposite end of the restaurant, but the location provided an overview of the entire floor. He could see the old guy at his booth munching away like nothing happened. Of course, someone complained that there was poop smeared all over, and one of the other employees that Arthur was cool with had to go clean up the mess. Arthur caught the old guy looking in on the situation and grinning to himself. Seeing that, Arthur thought the man needed to be taught a hard and hurtful lesson. The old guy finished his food and drove home. Little did he know that Arthur was following him. He ends up following old guy to his home and stakes it out for an hour. Arthur does this for a couple of weeks, following him home, learning about this guy as quick as possible. Even on days off, he drove over to where he lived and followed him to both the restaurant and to the old guy's company. Arthur had gotten a rough idea of this guy's work and sleep schedule, so it was time to enact his revenge. Going by the information he acquired about the guy's activities and the neighborhood he lived in, Arthur figured out that this guy lived well enough to survive, but had no means of backup if something were to happen. Arthur had a 3-part plan for him. First act, in the dead of night, Arthur went to the old guy's house. He slashed one of the tires. The old guy drove a Jeep, so Arthur opened the spare tire compartment and poked a small hole in it. The old guy woke up the following morning to find his tire flat. According to Arthur, the old man was on the phone freaking out because he was going to be running late for work and really didn't have the money to get a new tire. Not only that, to Arthur's surprise, the old guy didn't know how to change a tire. The old guy spent nearly 2 hours in the hot Texas morning heat on the phone with someone on how to put the spare tire on. This is important for later in this act. At this point, Arthur is foaming at the mouth with excitement. The old guy drove on the spare to work only to find out that afternoon that the spare went flat. Even more frustrated, the old man drives the car to a nearby auto shop to get both tires serviced. Later that night, this time Arthur slashed 3 out of 4 of his tires. Remember when old guy was on the phone getting instructions on how to get his tire fixed? Well, before that, he had called his car insurance company to get someone to come out and fix his tire. He was very loud, and the gist of the conversation was that the insurance company wouldn't come out and fix his tire and couldn't get them insured because all 4 tires weren't blown out. They said it would be easier and least expensive to just change the tire himself and get another. So later that night, Arthur slashed the other 3 tires, save for the new one. Arthur wasn't there that following morning, but he knew that the old guy surely had a meltdown. That, and he didn't show up to the restaurant for a month. Second act. Piggybacking on the first act, Arthur would regularly check on old guy's car. When all the tires were replaced, Arthur went to the old guy's house late at night and poured 1.5 gallons of sugar and bleach into the gas tank. His car had one of those manual gas covers instead of the modern button inside the car, so no one was none the wiser. In the morning, during Arthur's stakeouts, the old man started up his car and left for work, only to get halfway there before the car stopped working. So old guy had to get his car towed back to his house. The final act. Arthur got the old guy's name from the phone conversation and searched him on Facebook. He downloaded a couple of good pictures of him and created a few flyers. Due to the old guy's car being unusable, he wasn't able to come into the restaurant to do his usual crap, pun intended. Arthur printed the flyers out and posted them all over the restaurant. The flyers had a picture of the guy, his name, and described what he did in bathrooms for the past few months. A few days later, the old guy comes in with a friend. The friend goes ahead and orders while the old guy runs to the bathroom. One of the coworkers spotted him and notifies everyone there, including the friend. Old guy starts to do his thing in the stall until he sees the flyer with his face on it. He storms out of the bathroom, flyer in hand, angrily demanding for the person responsible to step up to him. Arthur steps up in his uniform and claims responsibility. The old guy begins to threaten to sue for slander and emotional damages and other offenses, to which Arthur simply says, with an equally crap-eating grin, "Look, I don't care. I just want to ruin some poor effer's day." Old guy's soul momentarily leaves his body as he realizes that the same guy he confessed his crime 2 weeks ago was one of the employees. The manager arrives and bans the old guy from the restaurant. Old guy threatens to ram his car into the windows, to which Arthur says, "Is your car a unicycle? Better check your tires, you poor effer." Old guy then realizes that Arthur was behind the attacks. Banned from the restaurant, no hard evidence of Arthur's vandalism, and extreme embarrassment, old guy decides to bow out. Haven't seen or heard from him since. Unfortunately, fast forward a month and 2 nights ago, Arthur got arrested from fighting an off-duty officer at a convenience store. Was anybody else expecting Arthur just to rub some crap all over this guy's house, maybe all over his car as well? I wasn't expecting him to go anywhere near as far as he did. Also, at the end where we see that Arthur got arrested, it actually doesn't surprise me, because if he's willing to do that much in retaliation to this guy, he might just not make the best decisions. Do me a quick favor, have a look down below the video. If that subscribe button's still red, it means you're not actually subscribed to the KCC channel. Please hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories. Our next story today comes to us from Peach Jelly Soda. No proof, no problem. Don't mess with woman's best friend. Let's jump right in. No names, because what I did was pretty illegal. I manage a bar, and one day I came in to see the place totally ransacked. Thankfully, but weirdly, nothing was stolen, which meant it was someone with a personal vendetta. I had recently fired an employee who I suspected had done it. We hadn't been able to get his keys back yet, so he had a way to get in and knew the alarm codes since he would open the bar sometimes. I went to my office and saw that the lock on the door had been smashed in, and the CCTV footage was deleted. The only thing that was missing was a clay mold of my dog's paw print I had taken right before she passed away. This dog was my first pet and was my best friend. I always talked about her and had brought her into the bar a couple of times on my days off. We let pets on the patio. So all the employees knew how much she meant to me. I kept the mold on my desk to always have her with me. I was sure it was him. He hadn't taken his firing so well, but with no absolute proof, I couldn't just outright accuse him. The bar is a bikini bar, and the dude was a total creep. On multiple occasions, he had made disgusting comments to the girls. The cherry on top was, he came in drunk and groped the girl working. Men who came in could be gross, but the things he would say and did were on another level altogether. When I called all the employees to ask where they had been, he totally outed himself before I could even ask him. He said, "I was home with my wife on Saturday night." I just smiled into the phone and said, "I never said it happened on Saturday." He quickly hung up. Gotcha, B. The police couldn't do crap though with the camera footage deleted. All I had was him knowing it happened on a Saturday. Plus, the damage wasn't too bad, just a lot of smashed plates and the lock on the door. So there wouldn't be much to sue him for if I did get proof. So I decided to get even and get my dog's paw print back. He only deleted the night of the break-in, not the rest of the footage, so I combed through hours of footage to find the time he had slapped the girl's butt and grabbed at her chest. But I found something even better. On the camera pointing to the back alley, he was having relations with some chick, probably a prostitute, definitely not his wife, up against his car. This dude was an idiot. He even smiled and waved at the camera. I copied the footage to a USB stick and put it in an envelope. I knew he had another job, so I waited there until he showed up and went inside. I stuck the envelope under his windshield wiper with a note. It read, "Give back what you stole, or this will start popping up everywhere you go." It didn't take long for him to text me. I played dumb and acted like I knew nothing about it, but added, "Sounds like whatever you took was important to the person." He told me to F off and said he didn't have whatever I thought he took. I still played dumb. The next day, I left another USB in his mailbox. I knew his address from his W-2, and another on his windshield wiper again for good measure. I guessed he found them both because I received another string of texts asking what the F is wrong with me. I still played dumb, but told him to give back whatever the person was asking for, and it would probably stop. He said he didn't have the paw print and was going to the police. Man, this guy was dumb as a bag of rocks. I told him only I knew the paw print was taken, and now I had proof he broke in for the police. No response. I'm no lawyer, but pretty sure what I was doing was just as illegal as him breaking in, if not worse, and he would have had a good case on his hands for blackmail, but he was dumb and probably just wanted it all to go away. Safe to say the next day, one of my bartenders told me that the guy that was fired dropped off his keys and a package for me. In the package was my paw print broken in half with a letter that basically said he was sorry and he didn't mean to break it and was just pissed he got fired and to please stop leaving the video. I debated for a good while if I should send the video to his wife anyways, but I found out she was divorcing him because she had found the one in the mailbox. I honestly think this guy got what he deserved, but in the end, I think he just broke the paw print as a final F you. One thing I keep on going back to in this story though is that the alarm code wasn't changed when this guy was fired. In every single place I've worked at that had an alarm system, if someone got fired, that alarm code was changed pretty much immediately. So while what the employee was doing was illegal, it could have been prevented in the first place if the owner of the establishment had just taken some basic security practices. Our last story today comes to us from In the Hog. Unjustly fire me? Let me make you go bankrupt real quick. Let's jump right in. I was told to post this here, so here we go. This happened a few years ago and still makes me giggle with glee to this day. I'm a 34-year-old female who has always been a bit of a tomboy. I like cars, sports, and reptiles. When I was 25, I wanted a career change and finally follow my dream of working in an auto repair shop as a painter, like my father always did. To start my education, I needed to already have a job at an auto repair shop as an intern. So I searched and called a lot of companies to see if they had spots. There were literally several companies that laughed at me because there's no place for a woman on the work floor. Disheartened, I tried one final company who said he'd take a chance with me. I was thrilled. I was promised lots of opportunities to learn and a steady job after graduation. I started a week later, and the first 2 weeks were awesome. I learned a lot and was promised even more opportunities. He promised I would have 2 to 3 hours a week of private time with the resident painter for practice. Soon after though, it went downhill. The owner had a bid on a contract with a large city in our country to restore underground containers. I had to sand them down, put sealant on the edges, and prepare them for painting. Tedious work, but I did it diligently. The promised practice time never happened. After a while, all I did day in, day out, 8 hours a day, was sand down underground containers. By the end of the day, my hands and wrists were numb from the vibrations. This, by the way, is illegal. You're not allowed to sand with a pneumatic sanding machine for more than 4 hours a day. In my country, as it causes severe wrist and hand issues. After several months, the contract with the city ended, and I hoped my promised practice time would come. But no, it didn't. I was given jobs that had nothing to do with my education. I was told to do jobs that a contractor should do, like put rebar in front of the windows, repair the sliding doors, repair walls, and other small things. Basically, nothing to do with my desire to become a painter. After 6 months of doing literally nothing that I could count towards my education, my boss called me into his office. He told me he was fed up with my attitude. He made a mistake hiring me. I was fired on the spot. I was heartbroken and cried the whole way home. I didn't get it. I put 110% into my job, working hard, always on time, staying late if needed, and never complained. I didn't understand what happened and was pretty down for a while. However, several days later, I found out I was pregnant, which helped me get over my downness. We had been trying for over a year, so we were ecstatic. When the time came that my final paycheck should come in, nothing happened. A week after it normally came in, I called, but was told to not complain and it would be transferred shortly. 2 weeks later, still nothing. Called again and got a very irate boss on the line, cussing at me and calling me things I will not repeat here. I was fed up and contacted my lawyer. Here comes the revenge part. Ha ha ha. In my country, there's apparently a few laws that my boss broke without me even knowing about them. First, you're not allowed to fire somebody without reasonable cause. You need to document bad behavior and give the employee a write-up. After 2 write-ups, you're allowed to terminate. My boss never did this. Unlawful termination can end in a fine, and the employee has a right to get as many monthly pays as the employment contract would have continued if the employee wasn't terminated, which would mean I had a right to another 6 months of pay. Second, you must pay the final paycheck within a week of termination. We were now going on week 4. After the first week, an employee is entitled to compensation of up to €100 per day of not receiving their paycheck, meaning I was now entitled to at least €2,100 extra pay. My lawyer wrote up a letter to my boss stating we would be pursuing my legal rights. He didn't respond. A week later, we sent another letter increasing the compensation for late payment as we went. Another month of my lawyer not getting any response. Suddenly, I received my pay. No compensation, nothing, just basic pay. My lawyer recommended to go to small claims court, and so we did. Mind you, it takes about 3 months before you can appear before the court. He didn't even show up in court, but sent a statement through his lawyer saying how I was a horrible employee, blah blah blah. However, he had no proof whatsoever, but I did. I had my performance reports from 1 month into employment and 4 months into employment, and they were stellar. The judge saw right through my boss's BS and awarded me 6 months of pay, €12,000, 4 months of late payment compensation. This is because he didn't pay the full amount my lawyer requested, as was my legal right, about €12,000. Legal fees, now about €3,000. I was paid the same week. He was then also charged with a fine for violating employment laws. He had to pay €50,000. This resulted in the Employment Bureau, this agency makes sure companies comply with employment laws, etc., investigating the company. They discovered the building I worked at was unsafe. The foundation was unstable, walls were crumbling and tilting. He was told to make repairs or they would close him down within a month. By accident, they discovered he was also cheating on his taxes, so the tax agency got involved. He got charged with embezzlement and tax evasion for both of his companies. He had to pay back all taxes he evaded, plus a 100% fine, coming to a staggering €250,000 over several years. He didn't have that kind of money, and after struggling for about 2 months, which resulted in him not paying his other employees, he went belly up. Both businesses shut down, and the building I worked at even got demolished. 7 years later, it's still an empty plot, and if I ever feel put down by somebody, I take a short drive to that place, and it reminds me, people will sometimes get what they deserve. I love a good story of people fighting for what they're owed and actually getting it. This one had the added benefit of the person getting taken down completely and absolutely utterly destroyed. Such is the way in Nuclear Revenge. Check out all 3 OPs linked in the description down below. I thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.